Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Amy N. Showers, again the author of Deadly Conflicts. Trying to point at the poster that is right behind me. It's kind of hard when I can't see right behind me and I'm just looking through my screen. So if you did get through my first video, congratulations. I know that was a bit of a drag, very long, and I promise they're not all my videos, they're not all going to be 40 minutes long. I promise you that. I do hope to keep these to about a maximum of, if it's a big topic, 30 minutes. But I'm going to try to keep them down to about 20. So I did state in my previous video that I was going to do a reading from my book, and I was going to do the very first chapter. Then I realized that the YouTube algorithm might just kick me in the backside. So what I am going to do is I am going to do a bit of a reading from the first chapter, but mostly I'm going to explain the first chapter, because the first chapter of this book really gives a lot of context and is pretty controversial. And I mean controversial as in, my mother read it and told me she hated the book, and I asked her why, and she told me because I don't like the first chapter. At which point I picked up the book and I looked and went, there's 18 chapters. That was just one chapter. How can you completely hate a book just from the very first chapter? And then she proceeds to tell me that it was because of one particular paragraph. I'm looking for that paragraph right now. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraph in. And it was because I did drop the F-bomb. And the reason behind it was I did not want the scene to be something that you've seen time and time again. A little bit more context into this scene. This is a very big scene. This is a scene where you're first introduced to two of our main characters. We are introduced to Lily Rose and Armand. Let me see if I can show it better on this back one. Lily Rose and Armand. Armand is the one that is very possessively holding on to her. And when I came up with this design for the cover art, the very first chapter really came to mind, because he saw her at a very young age. And he connected with her at that time, not in a sexual way, but he saw her and instantly wanted to protect her from a situation that was going on. In her life, she had lost her father. I did not put in the book how she lost her father. Her mother did become a drug addict, and the, the point where we're at Armand has just come off of a mission, is walking down an alley, and finds Lily Rose, her mother, and a drug dealer. And basically, I'm going to say this before I even go any further, I do not condone any of this. I do not condone the selling of people. I do not condone, especially the selling of children, for any reason. Nor do I condone drug use. This was all basically to showcase Lily Rose's life and how she had to grow up and develop things at a very young age. So he came upon this deal where the drug dealer wanted Lily Rose, and her mother finally gave in, said, okay, fine. He takes her off into a car. Armand walks up to her mother, and I am going to actually say parts of these. Okay. So, let me see. Where do I want to go? So, this is all from Armand's point of view. I do not specify an age for Lily Rose. So, in his mind, because he is at this point in his, I believe, if I remember correctly, he is in his mid-20s, so pretty much anything younger than him he sees as a small child, because he has seen way more than anybody at that age level should have seen in their lives. So here's a small tidbit out of here. The dealer looks to be the same height as him, but he pays little attention to any of the other details on the man, eyeing a little girl. Armand watches the little girl. The girl has curly black hair and clear ice blue eyes. She would be a beautiful woman when she grows up, if she was cleaned up and if her hair was low-lighted. He also sees a spark in her eyes. So basically, the reason why I chose this route of a drug dealer wanting her is so that there is a contrast here. We have Armand, who's looking at her in a very protective way. He's looking at her as, when she grows up, she's going to be very beautiful. He sees a spark in her. He sees something there that can possibly be used later on. Once this deal does go down, he is not happy. He is pissed off. So, the junkie agrees, and the dealer hands her a bag. He walks over to the girl and grabs her right arm and drags her to a nearby car. The little girl sees him for the first time. He reads the despair in her face. He could not bear it. He quickly walks over to the junkie. Why would you do that to your daughter? What is it to you? The junkie eyes him. All she is good for is nothing. Now, as I said, I have not stated how old she is. I have not stated how long her mother and her have been without her father. So this can be a very short period of time. It could be a very long period of time. I'm kind of giving this up to the reader to kind of look at this, to kind of get their own context within this. So her mother sees her own child at this point as literally nothing, whereas Armand takes one look at her and he is instantly seeing every possibility there is for her, and he does not even know this person. And I'm not going to give her an age. This is going to be up to anybody, but she is of the age of consent. I am going to state that for many states, but there is also the thing of the book. I do not state where they're exactly at. So many countries there are different ages of consent. So, but she does not take things very well. She does fight back. She actually bites the drug dealer and comes running out, which is the biggest point here, that despite the fact that she is a young girl, she can actually defend herself. And that is what I really wanted for this character. I wanted a character that despite her age, she could still defend herself against a creep who just wants to completely do something to her. Plus, also, this actually does set something up that is seen later on in the book. I'm not going to state what it is, but it is a very big plot twist that, again, I love plot twists. And I actually wrote this after I actually had written one particular part in this book and went back and wrote this in. So, before she even does anything, Armand tells the mother, hey, you know what? There's some place that you can take her, that she'll be safe. However, that ends up being something that we find later on that ends up being bad for her mother. She actually ends up losing her daughter. And this is sad, but she actually does get the help that she does desperately need. So there is a shining star. There is a ray of hope behind that gloomy little cloud. So, but I will read this next portion. Several years later, again, I just didn't want to do that. I did not want to, stick a number on there, because I just did not want to do that. Several years later, a group of people is surrounding a building. All of them are dressed in black with ski masks. Some of them are carrying large guns, while others carry multiple small handguns. They all enter a hole cut in the fence and rush up to the building. 4 of them break off from the rest, and they enter using a different route. Once the group is far enough away, I pull off the mask. My black and red low-lighted hair falls free, sort of like a wildfire with ash flying around. My ice blue eyes could freeze the Nile with just one look as I survey the area quickly. So, in the first part of this chapter, I did not put any emphasis on Lily Rose. When I got, and that was very deliberate, because I wanted it to be Armand's point of view of seeing her. So I didn't want it to be because this really is Lily Rose's story. So, Lily, are you and your team in? A voice in my ear asks. I look down at this point. I work for an agency bent on peace. Unfortunately, to obtain and keep that peace, we kill to get to that result. We are in, I respond into a microphone near my mouth as the others pull their masks off. 2 guys and 1 other female. The other female is Chinese and has brown hair and green eyes. Her body is slim with curves in all the right places. Standing at 5'7", her name is Anna. Her parents didn't want her to be labeled with having a Chinese name since they were U.S. citizens. One of the guys is black with brown hair and hazel eyes. With his muscular build, he looks like he hits the gym whenever he can. He only stands a few inches taller than Anna at 5'11". His name is Sean. The other guy is Korean. His black hair and brown eyes. He is muscular, but not as much as Sean. He is a lean type of muscular, standing at 5'9". Like Anna's parents, they were U.S. citizens, so they wanted him to have a U.S. sounding name. So they named him Eric. I sigh and look up at them all. I had all the female curves a woman could want, but being stuck at 5'4", yeah, I am one of the shortest agents in the agency. And this was one thing I was trying to really get them to really put into the image of Lily Rose. You cannot really tell that she is much shorter than anybody. and that I'm highly disappointed with the image, because she should really be almost a foot shorter than both of the men on the cover of the book. And I kept telling the artist this, and they just kept it just the way it is. So I take the earbud out of my ear, connect it to the mini microphone, dropping it, and crush it beneath my foot. The others follow suit after I do it. Are you sure you guys want to do this? Once this plan is in motion, there is no turning back. My eyes meet each of their eyes, hoping I was getting my point across. The three of them nod at the same time, like they knew I was going to say this, making me smile. I know my team knew them well. I knew my team knew me well. Yeah, we have to get out. There is no turning back now. Besides, it will be suspicious if we return and their golden agent doesn't. Sean pulls a bomb out of his bag. For about 6 months, we have been devising a plan to get out of the agency without having to die to do it. I don't even get fazed at the golden agent remark, due to the fact that I knew that is what I am. Okay, let's find the boiler room and give the command. And we all take off, moving quickly through the building. Having already seen the full schematics of the building, we quickly find the boiler room. Sean gets to work next to the boiler. Pulling back, he is hooking up a bomb to the boiler. When the bomb explodes, it will destroy the building and then burn the bodies of anyone inside the building at the time of the explosion. Once I set this, that is it. Our lives in the agency end. We will end up running for the rest of our lives, Sean explains. Are we sure we are all ready to take that risk? I am, for sure. I want a somewhat normal life again. Anna nods, ready to get out of the agency, even if I cannot go back to my family, even if I could find them. I just want out. Derek looks at everyone. I sigh, knowing what Anna said about family is true. I still want to try. I just want to get out and to try and find my mother, even if it is just to see her from a distance. I look down at the ground, finding. I pick up a cell phone and hit the speed dial. 2 minutes. I hang up, drop it, then smash it. So, a lot is going on, and that's not even the full scene. What we have here is we have several agents who want to get out. The agency is definitely one of those things where once you're in, there's only one way you're getting out, and that's going to be in a box. So it's either you die for the cause or they just kill you because you're just not towing the line properly. Every one of them have been taken from families and have basically had their lives destroyed, so that even if they were to get out, they would not be able to find their families. They made it so that they could not find them. So that is why Lily Rose is saying, I just want to find my mother and see her, even if it is just from a distance, because if she is caught seeing her mother, she could put her mother at risk. So she still wants to keep people safe. That is a huge thing about Lily Rose. She wants to keep people safe. So I'm going to skip a little bit in this. Actually, I'm just going to finish this one up. Where we came in from. But then we turned to the back side of the building. We run out as I watch an unmarked black van come around the corner of the building. The back doors swing open, and I am the first to jump in. Then it is Sean, Anna, then finally Derek. I look out the back door and find a man with short black hair, dressed in all black, running around the corner where the van came from before the doors closed. A few seconds later, the building blows as we drive off into the night, into a new life. So here we do have a question of, were they seen? Because we do have somebody coming up on them as they're making their escape. This is very much definitely not the exit strategy that was pre-planned. When they do these missions, everything's pre-planned. So we're going to move on to the second part of this. The man drops to the ground as the explosion starts from inside. Then it blows the outside walls. Armand, what is going on? He hears in his ear. The building has just exploded, and I just saw a van with some agents in it. It looked like 3, but there could have been more. I'm going to need some backup out here to search the rubble. I think Lily was still in the building. He looks at the now burning building in shock. This wasn't his first bombing, planned or unplanned, but it was just the uncertainty of what just happened. After 5 hours of combing the rubble, there was no sign of Lily's full remains and the remains of the other agents. Some of the remains Armand grabs the clipboard to look over the results. This cannot be. This can't be. She would not give up her life like this, like that. I know this for a fact, but I did not see her in the van. Come back into the agency, Armand, the voice commands. Armand turns to get into a van that drives into the night and back to the agency. With his head in his hands, he wonders what went wrong. Now, this really does go straight into the next chapter, because Armand does become very, and she did not get harmed in the bombing. So that takes up a good portion of the first part of the book. Is him being very convinced that she's still alive, despite the fact that there's no evidence to show that she is alive or she isn't alive. So just a little bit more and we're going to get a really big twist here. A week later, I am walking down a dark alley when I hear a fight. Just give me what I want, blank, and I will leave you alone, I hear a male voice say. No, a female voice replies. I quicken my steps to find out what is going on. Turning the corner into the alley, I find a young woman with brown hair fighting with a man twice her size. The man has a knife. I would let her go if I were you. My voice is strong and commanding. He grabs her around the neck and brings up the knife. I would leave if I were you, girlie. This has nothing to do with you. I think it does. I narrow my eyes at him, waiting for his next move. He quickly turns her around and stabs her in the stomach, then comes after me. Before he can get a few feet closer to me, I pull my gun and shoot him in the heart and head. After holstering my gun, I quickly rush to the girl's side. Don't worry, I'll get help, I tell her, and she grabs my arm, keeping me from leaving. No, please, no, just please, tell my mother I love her and that I'm sorry. She gets out before drifting into unconsciousness. I pull a wallet from her pocket. It has an ID that has the name April Summers on it. Sighing softly, I pull out my cell phone, hit a speed dial number, and wait for an answer. Once I hear a voice, I say, I need cleanup and help. I then give the person the address of where I am. Don't worry, help is on its way, I tell her, trying to keep her awake. Tell me about yourself. I listen to her talk as we wait for help to arrive. And as I put pressure upon her stab wound, I watch as the girl is taken away in an unmarked ambulance. And I watch the vehicle drive off, thinking about what she said. I still have her ID. I look down at it and then look up. A new life has fallen into my hands so easily. a little too easily, I think. I turn to walk away. I walk away from the alley and the agency all at once. For years, I always knew what my life was going to be, day in and day out. Now finally, I do not know where my life is going to go. So, a lot is put into this first chapter. When I first wrote the chapter, the bombing session was the first part. As I said, her being younger, Armand finding her, that came up later after I wrote a scene later on. And that is how I write. I'll write something, go back, read something previously, and figure out, aha, there's a connection that I can make here, and write a whole new scene to go with it. Now, once I do any abuse against women, children, any of the above, I am completely against. This was used only as a literary device. I do not condone it. I think people who do that should be locked up in general population. So, my next video, I will actually start breaking down some of the characters, the first one being Lily Rose, as she is the most complex character of them all, and she is my main character. So until then, keep on reading. Bye-bye!